Okay, folks, our next guest on this week's edition of the Irish NFL Show is none other than New York Giant Graham Gano. Graham, welcome to the Irish NFL Show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Graham, we usually ask our first question in regards to Irish heritage, but I know you have Scottish heritage.
That's right. Yep. My mom's from Scotland, and I used to have a thick Scottish accent, but my wife probably still wishes I did, but I don't have it anymore.
Well, maybe you can top up at some point the next time you're over, Graham. But look, you're a well-established kicker in the league at this point, and I know we're going to delve into that in a little bit. But can you take us back? Like, how did you start off kicking, and what was it that led you down that path?
Actually, never wanted to be a football player, American football player growing up, because I thought wearing the tight pants was a bit weird. So that was literally the only reason I didn't want to do it. I was a soccer player, and my dream was to play for the Scottish national team. Having been born there, we lived there, I think, for 3 years when I was born. Then we moved to Canada, then back to Scotland, and then Germany, and then finally the U.S. So played soccer all those years. And then when we moved to the U.S. In Pensacola, I went out for summer school for soccer, and I realized they didn't have it. All they had it was for the women's team. And so I told my mom and dad, I said, hey, I don't mind playing with them. That'll be fine. And the coaches said, no, that's not all right. And one of my buddies asked if I'd be the kicker for the football team. So I'd never kicked a football before, but gave it a shot, and I was hitting 40, 45 yarders at that point. I mean, taking 15, 20 steps back, but I was a goalkeeper, so that paid off in the end. And that's kind of how I got started. I just started kicking then.
Graham, you had your time in Baltimore and Washington. I suppose most NFL fans would recognize you predominantly from your 8 years in Carolina. Can we just ask you about that experience playing for Coach Rivera? And you broke some records there over the years. Broke my heart with a 63-yard field goal against the Giants. Thankfully, you're with the Giants now. But your overall experience in those 8 years there?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I try not to talk about that 63-yarder much anymore now that I'm a Giant. But yeah, that was very memorable for me. I actually had a chance at that 63-yard same hash to win the game against Atlanta years earlier, and it got tipped at the line of scrimmage. And I knew for a fact it was going in. Like the line on it, even the Thomas Morstead from the Saints texted me and said that was going in. Like, we see the angle, and I was like, yeah, I know. But so when that came up, I was just excited for the opportunity. Coach Rivera is fantastic. I know he's playing for our rival now. I actually texted him last night, texting the enemy, but he's a great man. My wife played softball at Florida State, and his daughter played at UCLA, so they're playing in the World Series right now. They got the best of us last night, but we were just going back and forth about that. But yeah, he's a great man, incredible coach, very good players coach. And I really enjoyed my time there in Carolina with him.
Graham, we previously had on our show a young Irish guy called Tyg Leader, who's trying to make it in the US as a kicker. And he commented actually on the level of detail involved really in the operation of kicking field goals. And I'm kind of intrigued by this because he was talking about the specificity and the professionalism that he didn't necessarily expect coming from more European-based sports. And look, we mentioned the 63-yarder, but I'm thinking in your career, you had franchise record in Washington and multiple overtime winning kicks, longest field goal in playoff history with the Panthers. You had 3 for the Giants the other year against Dallas, over 50. So you're used to these long and really critical kicks. I mean, could you tell us a bit about, the technical, the craft, the nuance, the detail in those types of situations?
When I first got into it, I definitely didn't realize all the detail and stuff. Starting out, I'd spray kicks left and right. I could kick it a mile, but if it wasn't straight, it didn't matter. And just over the years, when I first got into the NFL, as I kicked 1 year in college with field goals and extra points. So as I started out, I didn't really understand the fine details, the little things like, if you're kicking into a wind, you lean the ball forward to cut into it. If it's a right to left wind, you lean it to the right. And there's so many little things, if the laces are facing back, if the laces are left, you just strike the ball a different way and have a different follow through. And every kick has to be, 1.3, 1.25 seconds or else it's blocked. And so all those little things you just pick up over time. And And so, yeah, over the years, I've learned that. Riley Dixon, my holder now, he's unbelievable. And Casey, my snapper, the detail and the effort and everything they put into their work makes my job so much easier. So we were like an example of that. We played Seattle last year, and we were kicking towards their open end. That the two corners are open, and the wind I think was going from right to left. And so I looked at Riley and I said, "Hey, I want this kind of hold." And in the middle of my steps back, it completely shifts the other direction. And so I look at him as I'm taking my steps back. I say, "Hey, did you feel that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I mean, we don't have much time. The play clock's running down. And he goes, "I got you. I'll change it." And then, I mean, it was that quick. And he changed the hold, and we hit it right down the middle. And I mean, if he hadn't, that kick probably would have sailed wide. I mean, it's just little fine details, and I mean, exactly where you strike the ball. If you plant just a little bit too far forward, a little too far back, it misses. So there's a lot that goes into it, and a lot of trust in those guys, a lot of faith in my line in front of me. And yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. You know, you work on it so much, and it just becomes just something you really love to do.
Obviously, looking forward to seeing what happens over the next season as well. Graham, you're 1 yard shy of Matt Prater's 64-yard record. Is that a personal goal for yourself over the next few years?
Yeah, 100%. I remember I was sitting in the locker room in New Orleans. We were playing at New Orleans, and I think we came in for halftime, and Brad Nortman was my holder then for Carolina. He said, "Prater just hit a 64-yarder." And I remember being like, "No." I mean, I was happy for him because he's a great guy. But at the same time, I was like, I wanted to break that record. So, yeah, I mean, those opportunities don't come up very often. You know, I've had 2 chances at I think, 63-yarders. And, yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I know Joey Sly had a chance or a few chances last year, but I definitely would love that opportunity. And kicking in New York, it'd probably have to be a little earlier in the year, unless I get a real boost of strength in my leg in November, December. But yeah, that's definitely one of my goals.
Graham, I suppose one of the things that's changed this off season is the number structure, and we've already seen Sterling Shepard move to the number 3. And I know from your social media that there's at least one member of the Giants roster who's feels that your number 5 jersey is a hot commodity. But that number 5 is your number, right?
That's right. Yeah, I wear it actually because we have my wife and I have 5 kids, so. You know, I was 9 in Carolina for the longest time. I actually wore number 9 because of my wife. That was her number in college and all through growing up playing softball. And so when I came to the Giants and Riley had 9 and he wasn't giving that up, I looked, and 5, you know, it had some meaning behind it for us. So I stuck to it. We've had some discussions, Pep and I, but it's not going to happen. He was wondering what a number goes for, and I told him, and he said, "No, that's not happening. I'll just keep 21." So I'm not going to say what that number was, but it was a bit too high for him.
Graham, can I just ask you about Dave Gettleman? As a Giants fan, I've been quite pleased with what he's done over the years, but like any general managers, there's always a narrative around decisions they make. In Carolina, there was the Steve Smith, Josh Norman, he's traded Beckham. You know, he's made tough decisions over the past few years, and you've been fortunate to work with him both in Carolina and now with the Giants. Just behind the scenes, what kind of guys you'd like to be around with the players and stuff?
I think he's great. Personally, I mean, I love the time that I spent with him in Carolina. You know, I think he's a great guy. He's a straight shooter. You know, he'll tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And I feel like you get a lot of that in New York, especially with Coach Judge. And, you know, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth, but I've always respected that. You know, if somebody's going to tell you one thing, I'd rather hear the truth and just be able to take it. You know, if I miss a kick, I expect to be yelled at. So, you know, stuff like that. But I've always appreciated Mr. Gettleman, and I think he's done a fantastic job. I mean, what he was able to create in Carolina with that roster and the amount of success that we had when, you know, he took over was pretty incredible. So, you know, I think things take time. You know, I think like anybody, you know, if you're not winning games, there's always going to be the people criticizing you, but you know, at the end of the day, it's what happens in the building that matters, and I think he's building something pretty special on our team.
Can I just ask you quickly about Coach Judge, because I suppose when he got the job last year, a lot of Giants fans really didn't know about his background too much, but I think from day one, it's very clear what you see is what you get. He tells it as he sees it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I think we all love him. All the players love him. He's hard nosed. I mean, he's tough, but I mean, you have to respect that. And he's making us a really good football team. Everybody believes in him, and you know, I think that's what New York needs. That we need that type of coach. And you know, I've been playing for a while now. I've seen a lot of head coaches, and you know, I think he's going to do a fantastic job. He was definitely a very good special teams coach in New England. You didn't want to go up against his special teams units. So I think he brings a fire to our team that's definitely gonna definitely gonna benefit from.
Graham, just what you were saying on earlier, I'm tempted to imagine that number 5 goes for about 5 kids' college education or something like that. That's a good way of calculating out. And also, you want to beat obviously the 64-yarder. I always think, you know, as a kicker, are you looking at places like, when are we playing Mexico City? Like, can we play that away game there, or even down in Colorado against the Broncos?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Shoot, when we played in Denver. Actually, I practiced in Denver, and the ball was flying. You know, I've had people say it doesn't matter, but I was nailing some long kicks, and I actually lined one up from 75 and made it there. And this was when I was playing for Washington, but actually they had just released me, and I was practicing up there with a buddy of mine. But yeah, the ball really flies up there, so you hope for that. Shoot, I had we played them in 2016, and another one of my goals was to hit a touchback from the 20 if there was a penalty, and that happened in Denver. And I was like, okay, if I swing as hard as I can, I have to hit the ball right here, I've got a shot at it. I'm either going to miss it completely and shank the kick, or I'm going to, you know, hit it way high, and I hit it perfectly. It went from the 20, 8 yards deep in the end zone, and that was pretty exciting. But yeah, the ball flies there. So you definitely look to see where you're playing, and when you see the teams come out, you look to see, okay, are we away? Are we home? You know, what's all that about? But our stadium gets pretty windy, so if you know, if I get favorable conditions, I definitely think I have a shot. But at the end of the day, you know, whatever kick they send me out there for, I just want to make. So that's my main goal.
Absolutely. And Graham, forgive me if I'm wrong. I think you were injured the year that Carolina came over to London to play Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've have you played in London at all in your career that did. Is that a goal? Because I know, like, I mean, I think it would give Brian a mini heart attack if the Giants came to London. But even like I mean, even just personally, a game in Scotland would be nice. But we've seen this week as well the news coming out that Germany might get a game. I'm sure you'd love to play internationally before you finish up your career.
That would be great. Yeah, let's see, I think I've missed it twice. Oh no, I know Carolina. I think I missed it in New York. Have they played there yet or no? I'm not.
Played in Twickenham about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah. So I missed that obviously, but yeah, that'd be incredible. I still have family in Scotland, so it'd be neat to be able to see them again. And I think it'd be really cool. I mean, the historic significance of playing in some of those stadiums. I think was it Tottenham has built the new one, right? But yeah, it'd be pretty cool. It'd be a neat atmosphere. I feel like the kicking game's a little more appreciated with the fans over there. From what I've heard, you know, you hit a field goal, hit an extra point, and everybody goes nuts. So I think that would be pretty cool.
Graham, I suppose one of the things that's been interesting over the last few years, we've seen Von Miller develop this pass rush summit, and this year now there's tight end university. So I'm wondering, do you think at some point in the future we might see a kickers camp where the kickers get together and kind of exchange tips, or are you guys a law unto yourselves?
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of like a fraternity. You know, there's not many of us that do it. And everybody kind of knows each other. There's guys that I haven't even met in person that I've exchanged text messages with, and John Carney, you know, he kicked for the Giants, I think for a year or two. I went to work with him years ago because my wife was from San Diego, and that's where he lives and trains. So I would go there and work with him, and he'd have a lot of guys come in for, he calls it the launching pad. So I did that with him a little bit, was able to kick with some guys, and now with all these kids, I kind of have to stay home. But like last week, I was kicking with Clemson University's kicker, and you kind of have guys come and go. There's a lot of guys that live in Charlotte, so I get to work with them a bit. But maybe I'll have to think on that. I have to see if I can set something up over here on the East Coast.
Graham, as it happens, the Irish kicker, in which Colin mentioned earlier, that's in the Spring League, is actually being coached by John Kearney.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's great. I love training there. That's Steve Weatherford and him are great friends, and I used to work out with Steve as well. So it's cool learning from guys like that. You know, I'll send film to some guys, they'll send it to me, kind of dissect it a little bit and learn more about it. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Steve's social media page is quite entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, we're built the same, you know, so we got a lot in common. Not a chance.
Can I just ask you around? I know obviously the result didn't go your way, but the experience of playing in the Super Bowl, obviously the build-up that comes with, you know, you've been in the Super Bowl and playing in that new stadium with Santa Clara at the time, that whole experience leading up to the game.
Well, I mean, one of you, I think it was you mentioned Von Miller. That I felt like I got stabbed in the chest again hearing his name. But let's see, he's took 2 games from me. There's been the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl, both of them. He won, and I did not appreciate that, obviously. But it was pretty incredible experience. You know, I wish we had. There's a lot of things I wish we would have known going into the game. You know, just preparation wise, but it's pretty amazing being able to kick off in that game to open the game was pretty cool. You always imagine the flash bulbs going off around you, but it was daytime, so I didn't get to see any of that. And the football you kick off is a brand new football right out of the box, because they take it as soon as you kick it off, they take it out of the game. And a lot of people don't know those things are like hard as rocks when they're brand new. And we actually have a guy that gets like 30 minutes to break it in, but so kicking that ball off is tough. And it was neat playing in that stadium. It's tough, obviously, losing that game, but I mean, it lights a fire in you. You want to get back and play in it again. And I really hope I get that opportunity again. You know, it's something I definitely, I mean, everyone's career goal to win that game, but I'm hoping I play for a long time and get to win a lot of them.
Graham, talking about the big game, effectively, Adam Vinatieri obviously played in a few of them, and he just retired. Will likely go into Hall of Fame one day, and obviously that's an area that's severely depleted of representatives in the kicking game. But I don't want to ask you about the NFL, the Hall of Fame per se, but there was something I saw that was a really nerdy thing for me. Belichick was talking about Vinatieri last week, and of course he mentioned the snow game kick. So it was probably one of the greatest kicks of all time. But he actually called out another kick, which was the Super Bowl win against the Panthers. And Belichick, obviously, originally a special teams coach, focuses very much highly in that area, said because of the quality of the kick rush unit and because they blocked a 36-yarder early in the game, his skill to get it up and, you know, get it at the right angle for that was probably not appreciated by many people out who don't know the game as well, perhaps. Yeah. And you know, I mean, is that preying on your mind as a kicker? Like, this kick rush is good, this kick rush is bad, you know, especially the block to kick. How does that feed into the process?
For sure. Back when I first got into the NFL, a lot of rules have changed since then. It's funny, I'm becoming one of the older guys, getting some grays. But you could middle rush, you know, and you could blow everyone up the middle. You could run the snapper over. So there was a lot more blocks then because, I mean, they could come straight through. And I actually, the other day when Adam announced his retirement, I watched his kicks over and over and over again, just trying to, you know, watch every little bit and how he hit the ball. And everyone, you know, obviously as in the kicking game loves that guy. He made some massive kicks. And I watched that Panthers one in slow motion over and over. And I noticed the rush off the edge. If it was just a little bit slower, it would have been blocked. And the guy, I think one of the guys on the left gap opened up a little bit. Somebody jumped over. There was all kinds of little things. I noticed that he hit it perfectly. I mean, it was high up in the air, and there's a lot of things that go into it. You definitely know, like when you play a guy like Patrick Peterson coming off the edge. I mean, it's close. You know, I've had kicks sometimes go underneath guys or, you know, over them as they block or dive, and it's pretty nuts, really. I played in New York one year with the Panthers, and their edge rush was really good. The guy dove, and I hit him in the back, and the timing was good too. So I was like, this is amazing. But you definitely think on those things. But it's more something you think of during practice. During the game, you kind of just go out there and play. But yeah, talking about Adam's kick in that game, that was definitely impressive.
Yeah, with a brand new long snapper, if I remember correctly, as well. It was long snapper had just come in for the Super Bowl, so a new unit and everything, which I know
I didn't realize
plays
that.
with the timing for you guys as well.
I know the holder in that game was released by Carolina I think in the preseason or something. So that was a little special for him. to beat them. But yeah, obviously playing there for a while, that was tough to hear about that from the fans down there in Carolina. But you know, I'm excited. New York's won a bunch of them, so hopefully we can add to that.
Graham, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and just obviously we'd like to thank you for your time. First of all, there's a couple of Broncos fans here, so we wish you well in the season, apart from week 1. It's definitely a good game to start off. But look, you're welcome at any time, and thanks a million for your time, Graham. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again, maybe with everyone except for the Broncos fans.
Thanks, Graham.